You know what I've been thinking about today? How people refer to malignant narcissists. I was thinking of the rumination that people who have CPTSD as a result of relational trauma do on a day to day basis. I know what it's like. Your attention is constantly turned towards what people said in the past. And that is narcissistic supply. So when you hear people say the term narcissistic supply, that's one of the things that they're talking about, that focus on the narcissist. So one of the ways they do this, and this kind of came up recently and I was thinking about it, is like, oh, that's energy vampirism right there. I think that's the perfect term for this kind of behavior, is like a subtle insult. The kind of insult that, you know, they can get away with because there's no way to really confront it, because it's so subtle that if you say anything to them, they can brush it off as a joke and say that you're being too sensitive. And if it happens around other people and you confront them about it, it creates like a social tension, and other people in the room will just be like, yeah, it's a joke, like calm down. Because people who are not part of the process that you're in when you're with a narcissist, or in a malignant relationship, don't understand what's going on, or they see the individual incident and they don't understand that it's not about the individual incident that happens, it's about the whole process. They don't see that psychological and emotional abuse is like a lawnmower that's constantly going over the grass, except it's a lawnmower that never stops. Okay, it's constantly mowing down your self-esteem, mowing down your sense of self, and mowing down your individuality and your differentiation from the abuser. They can't see that, and that's one of the reasons why there's no point in trying to like talk to people who haven't experienced this or are not part of the environment that you're in with a narcissist about it. And sometimes it's not even, there's no point in even talking to the people who are in the environment, because they're often enablers, flying monkeys, or getting abused themselves in some way. I would definitely suggest not to speak to people who are not part of an environment, who don't understand this trauma, because they're just going to think that you're whining about nothing, because they don't see the process. They don't see that lawn being constantly mowed and be like, you know, haven't you gone over that spot already? Or like, you can turn that mower off now. They don't get it. Hi, you guys. I'm just editing, and I thought, why don't I give an example of the kind of subtle insult I'm talking about, where it doesn't really make sense, or it wouldn't bear any fruit to make a thing of it, like confront them in any way or say something about it or point out what they're actually doing. It would just be kind of a waste of time, and it would probably, in my experience, make you feel even more angry if you tried to confront them about it, because they would just brush it off and say it was a joke or something like that. But the example I wanted to give was, I was watching the Olympics with someone. We were watching a race, and one of the sprinters after the race threw himself on the ground, and when he had like three people around him, and um, someone made the comment that he must be an only child because he was being so dramatic. And they know me, and they know that I'm an only child. If I had said something, they would say, oh, it's just I'm just making a joke. Don't take it so seriously, or something like that. Like, it's just really subtle. And if I were to tell somebody about that, for the most part, somebody who doesn't know about cluster B personalities, or just malignant personalities, like a malignant narcissist, a covert malignant narcissist in particular, they love doing things like that, would just think like, that was such a harmless joke, like who cares? But they don't see the process. They don't see the constancy of those kinds of jokes and all the other antics that malignant narcissists get up to. I just wanted to make the point that covert malignant narcissists in particular are cowardly. They're huge, huge cowards. They want to avoid the consequences of their actions. They want to avoid confrontation. They want to avoid being seen, being revealed, being called out. So that's why they do these kinds of passive aggressive, like, they're the most passive aggressive people you will ever meet. What do they call it? They would rather like sneak diss. They would rather sneak diss you constantly than actually say something to your face. One, because they know it's completely irrational, like you haven't done anything to them, so why would they be angry with you enough to insult you? So they would just look like a crazy person in front of other people and to the person that they're insulting. And two, they are cowards. So I just wanted to like butt into my own video and just give a little bit more context. Back to the energy vampire thing. The reason why the term energy vampire is appropriate is because that is how they feed. I'm sure you've heard of the term narcissistic supply. Well, what is narcissistic supply? It's your energy, right? That's what it is, your attention. And how do they get attention? By doing things to you. That's how they get their supply, their attention that they need, your energy. That's why people call them energy vampires, is because of the rumination that they cause, amongst other things. You know, there's a lot of other things that we could go into that they do to make you turn your attention onto them. But one of the really subtle ways is those kinds of insults that they can do with you when you're alone, that you can't really say anything about because they're so subtle, or with around other people, which is called dog whistling. So it's an insult that's directed at you that you feel, it's happened, but the other people in the environment won't recognize that it's happened. It's just between you and the narcissist. And this is something that the narcissist or any kind of other sadistic personality really gets off on, because they're sadistic. They love hurting you and in front of other people and knowing that they're getting away with it. They love hurting you in a subtle, backhanded, cowardly way, because they know that there's nothing really to be done in defense of it. I think that's one of the things that's so annoying about it. And that's one of the things that really, if you're not aware of what's going on, makes you start to turn anger onto yourself and turn blame and shame onto yourself because of that kind of triggering. It has an impact. And they love that kind of abuse because they are guaranteed to get away with it, and because it gives them sadistic pleasure. That's one of the things that malignant personalities, particularly malignant narcissists, love, is hurting people and getting away with it. They really get off on the getting away with it part, as well as the sadistic hurting people part. And what they ultimately get in the end is your attention, narcissistic supply, your energy, hence the term energy vampires.